So I hope everybody comes to the PHE show so you can experience the joy of a McIntosh Sonus Faber system in surround sound, in 3D audio. It will be a great experience for all of you.
Chào mọi người, hiện tại mình đã có mặt tại showroom của Sài Gòn HD và ngồi cùng với mình đó là ngài Ron Cornelius, giám đốc sản phẩm của McIntosh, và chúng ta sẽ cùng tìm hiểu thêm về xu thế sản phẩm high-end, stereo và home cinema của McIntosh nha. First off, I want to congratulate on McIntosh on its 75th anniversary with a huge, very successful amplifier and products as well. Especially for most people in Vietnam and worldwide, know McIntosh for their legendary blue VU meter, the stereo amplifier, for example, like the solid state quad balance or the very romancing tube amplifier, or recently very brilliant design hybrid drive amplifier. How can McIntosh incorporate that McIntosh legendary sound and technology into one chassis with multi-channel amplifier, especially for something like what we have here, like the MC 257, 255, or 303, and also keeping the power and also the heat performance, the heat management of the power amplifier?
Well, you are limited by the amount of power that comes out of the wall. Okay, so once our amplifier, whether it's a mono amplifier or a stereo amplifier or a 7-channel amplifier like that one down there, once they approach that, that's as far as you go. Then you have to have another box. So you would never have something like that combined with a home theater processor. The box would be too big, and it would require more than one power cord.
How can like that one unit of like McIntosh multi-channel amplifier can sound as good as the stereo amplifier that McIntosh already have?
Home theater amplifiers are the same circuitry and the same parts as the mono and the stereo amps. It's all the same stuff. It's the same design. Something like we make one receiver right now called the MHT 300. Those are digital amp modules in there, and it's very powerful, but that's the only way you could do it is with digital modules.
So, and I understand the MC 257s right here is also 7-channel, 200 watts each, and Class AB design. There's no Class D.
Right.
Yes. So, but there's also one question that I raised in mind is, especially with the new digital amplifier as the MI series. Obviously, for most people know McIntosh is a Class AB design. And then there's suddenly the digital amplifier with Class D design. So most people will ask you this question, I think, that is it McIntosh designed this unit digital amplifier for a certain price bracket, or is there any reason behind it?
Mainly size.
Mainly size.
And yeah, I mean, price, it's not going to be as expensive as a Class AB amp, but it's not totally inexpensive either. So we have a 7-channel version of that that's very popular, and we also make a small home theater processor called the MX100, and you can pair the two of them, and that's the least expensive way to have McIntosh separates for home theater. Or you can have the unified receiver, but those are using the digital amp technologies.
So for digital technology, it will fit more into like a custom installation side where you have like small amplifier, small chassis, and tuck in away into a small rack somewhere else, and you don't have to worry about it.
Those models have the silver end caps like this, but they come off and there's rack mount screws behind it.
Oh, I see.
So that and a big amp like this, you couldn't do that because it's too heavy. It would bend the front part. You need a shelf underneath it.
Yes.
And so it starts to take up more rack space, and rack space is valuable in a luxury home. They might have hi-fi, they might have home security, all this kind of their equipment closet in the house, and that's where these models would be popular in the custom install part. People would also use them on a typical piece of hi-fi furniture, just like we have here, if they're more budget conscious. Yeah.
Yes. So we talk about the amplifier because most people know that McIntosh for their analog sounding, very warm, very analog. But also, obviously, McIntosh know how to do digital side as well. Especially we are talking about the DA2, very famous module that sound comparable to very separate high-end DAC.
Right.
But there's also one question, especially from stereo to home cinema, because for home cinema you have to deal with a lot of like more digital advanced technology, especially when you talk about the object-based technology like Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, or you have to virtualize the home listening room to become the cinema-like. So how McIntosh approached that, and what's technology behind the processor and receiver for?
Well, I think some people have a theater room like the one we're in right here that's dedicated, but most people have a home theater that's in their living room.
Yes.
In our top models, like our MX180, which is our best processor here, it sounds just like our two-channel gear. Same sound quality. So you could hook any of our amplifiers up to it and be satisfied with that. That's not an inexpensive model, but the sound quality is definitely there. So home theater to us is this is kind of the same as stereo. It's just more channels.
For the customer who wants the best of both worlds, you want to have the best stereo audiophile traditional listening, and also for the home theater when watching movie, they want the best experience as well. So what would you suggest them? Because like for most people, they have the perception that multi-channel products, AV processor and receiver wouldn't sound as good as the amplifier or the traditional audiophile products. What would you say to that?
There's two aspects to this. First of all, whenever you look at a stereo or home theater system, you have to know what are my sources.
Oh, I see.
And I, we have some people that'll use a big two-channel system with two stereo amps, two big speakers, and they'll use a preamp like the C2800 here. And on the back of that, it has the DA2 DAC, which also has the HDMI ARC, and they connect that to their high-end TV that sits on the wall, and they can stream whatever comes across the TV world, Apple TV, their cable box. They get the picture, and then the sound comes out of the stereo. This will downmix the Dolby and DTS soundtrack to very high-quality two-channel. That's what we do inside the DA2. So that's one way to have that audio-video experience is you do not need home theater processor. You do not need all the speakers. You just need a nice stereo, and that's a very luxurious way to do it. If you want to add speakers, they can be of any size throughout the room. For Dolby Atmos and DTS:X, what they do is they sound, first of all, they sound better at lower volume than the old surround sound formats, and because you've got a height aspect to it, and there's four speakers above. You can barely see the speakers up here. There's four right above my head. So it's as long as you have access to put in in-ceiling speakers like that, you can have that height sound in the home theater. It can sound very good without a lot of space and without a lot of gear, really.
Obviously, for McIntosh, who have legendary status in the high-end audio worldwide, especially in Vietnam, you have amassed a huge loyal fan base. And for the customer who already have the traditional two-channel McIntosh, what would you suggest them if they want to increase the channel counts for movie watching, and also to prepare the immersive audio formats in the future? Right. So what equipment would you suggest them to?
There's nothing on the horizon that is going to replace Atmos and DTS:X. And we have Oro in some of our processors too. So you could have more channels, but they're derived channels or encoded channels. They're not discrete channels like those formats are. And those formats are approved by organizations throughout the world that broadcast. Like in America, they're broadcasting TV with Dolby soundtrack and 4K. That's just starting right now. Or you could stream that same signal. And you can stream it right now over all kinds of sources in America and depending on the country you go around the world. So the sources are there. You can watch your sports, your TV, and have surround sound. Or you can take any two-channel mix and upmix it to surround sound like our processors do. Or you can downmix it to two-channel stereo for two speakers. So it's up to the consumer what they want to do.
So for example, if they spend like 80% of time listening to music and only 20% of time watching movies and TV, then probably the best is to stick with something like a
C55
C55, yes, sorry.
Well, in my office, I have a system like that behind me. It's not a big office. And then I have my desk and I have my computer. And anything I see on the computer, if I want to hear it, I just click the system on behind me, it plays through there. But if I want to sit down and watch maybe a sports show or something, I go into the next room and I've got the home theater system. But they both work equally well, and they're both very satisfying to listen. Sometimes it sounds so good I have to spin around in my chair and look at it while it's playing music because I hear something that I want to really, really hear. I've got the SF speakers, the Nova 5s, pretty nice speaker in my office. So it all works out good.
So for a customer who want to something like casual movie listening, then a new preamplifier with crossover built in, that would be the best course of action.
Possibly.
Right.
2 channels very satisfying if you have a nice TV. And the TV does the switching in these things. So what most people don't understand is that ARC output is the original audio soundtrack connected to the video. When the TV plays their speakers, they down mix it into something. We don't know what. Or when they send it out an optical connection, it's not as high quality as what we're doing in here when we turn it into stereo.
So it's all like digital, like McIntosh proprietary, like down mixing and us mixing into from the preamplifier or the processor as well. So it's
well, that's a good question. So I'll get a little technical here. So the ARC input is like one HDMI input in a processor. It has to have the same receiver chipset. It's got the silicon image. So it's got video reception, but we're not using the video. We're stripping the audio out of that, but it's the same part that we would have in a home theater processor. That's in the 2-channel preamps that have the DA2 in it. So the DA2 does do that at all. See, that's more expensive than other people would want to spend. And at McIntosh, because of the price, we can afford to build that in there and have that option, which customers love. So they're really excited about having big sound, big stereo, big picture without speakers all over the room. Other people want little speakers all over the room. Different path, but they're both good.
So in the end, I want to do a little bit of my own advertisement as well, because we are arranging the first ever home cinema show in Vietnam called Personal and Home Entertainment Fee Show. And there will be McIntosh and Sonos Forever featuring in the show as well. Yes.
Well, I hope a lot of consumers show up to the show so they get to experience that combination in a home theater McIntosh driven system. Great idea.
Yes, because especially for most people who don't have a chance to visit the showroom or doesn't have the time to spend a lot of time together for experience the high-end multi-channel, they still have a lot of misconception. So I think that would be a great deal and a great way to experience world of McIntosh sound.